gentleman's time has expired. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Chairman. And, sometimes I feel like I'm in the twilight zone up here. Like month after month, people come before us, they testify, and you don't get a lot of answers. And it's concerning, it's frustrating. You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are. You're telling me that a lot of these, Mr. Jones, you're telling me that 90%, 95% of these drones along the U.S.-Mexico border, we can't interact because they're not in U.S. territory?
That is correct. A large proportion of them stay in foreign airspace.
I'll tell you what, there are a lot of Americans that are very frustrated right now that are essentially questioning, where are my taxpayer dollars going? You know, this Doge craze that's kind of starting to take hold, this is very real. I mean, this is going to come. People are going to have to come before the carpet, and they're going to have to explain every single line item. What do you do here? What does this get? And so let me ask a very specific question. Mr. Wheeler, how much of the FBI budget goes towards counter-UAS?
So the technical part of operational budget that I have within the critical incident response groups, just less than $500,000.
500,000? That's nothing. Why is it so low?
Well, I don't.
And I wonder we don't know what the hell is going on. 500,000.
So that number doesn't capture the FBI Newark investigation, for example. The budget allocation for what we're doing investigatively is not captured in that number, but for the technology we use and the way we deploy it, just under 500,000.
We want to help you. I mean, this is a committee. The chairman's putting this together because we want to know these topics. So the American people deserve to know the truth on this, and we also deserve to have actions on it. And if it's a budget issue, no problem. But it's also what is our money getting us? Clearly, not a whole lot. And something needs to change, though. I'm trying to figure out what that something is. It just, month after month, it's the same old, same old. From a CBP standpoint, Mr. Jones, do you know what the current budget of CBP is for counter-UAS?
I can tell you that direct appropriations for counter-UAS was zero last year.
Zero. So
CBP
yeah,
took it out of Hyde, and we will continue to take it out of Hyde. Now, I can't tell you exactly what that number is. I have a general ballpark, but we can discuss that. I provide that as a get back to you.
Another committee that I sit on is appropriations. So I see a lot of things through the lens of dollars and cents. If you're putting zero on the board, you're probably not going to get a lot of success. And it's not fair. A lot of people talk about the border. I represent the border, nearly half of the southern border. I've been out there with these agents in the middle of nowhere that are essentially alone and unafraid, making do with what they have. It's not fair to them, and ultimately it's not fair to us to have them combat against some of these drones that are happening with a zero budget. I mean, it's just madness. So I guess I have other line of questioning, but I don't want to embarrass anyone. I would just say, I would be very interested in partnering up and figuring out what we need to do in order to find and answer some of these questions. What resources do you need? The technology is already out there. Drones, this isn't new. Drones are 100 years old. This isn't state-of-the-art. Drones are old technology. The fact that we don't know what's flying in our airspace is only the tip of the iceberg, what's to come. We have to fix this. And I want to partner up to fix this. Part of that is finding out the proper resources you need, training, authorities. I get the authorities piece, but it's a cradle to grave type of situation. It cannot just be, the answer can't be we don't know. And the answer can't be zero. I mean, we got to do better than that. And if we don't, I suspect not good things will happen. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming before us and testifying. I look forward to partnering with all your agencies. I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from New York, Mr. D'Esposito.
Thank you, Chairman. And I sort of feel the same way as my good friend, Mr. Gonzalez. This is like deja vu. We've been talking about this for a long time and seems to be not getting much answers. I mean, the chairman and I visited New York City probably close to 2 years ago. We met with the leadership in the NYPD. It was probably one of the most rapidly growing drone use in the country. And my vision on jurisdiction of taking down drones may be different from others here. But first, I think it's important to quickly focus on stuff back at home. I mean, these drones over New York and New Jersey, flying over critical infrastructure, flying over some of, whether it's the Verrazano Bridge or others, I mean, I have to agree with my colleagues. The fact that we continue to say that we don't know what they are, we don't know what they're doing, I mean, the American people are looking at us and they think that we're lying to them because they think, how could you possibly not have answers to drones flying over some of the most critical airspace in the country? So, I mean, if we're expecting the American people to believe in the information that we're giving them, I think we do need to do better. And that's none of your fault. I mean, the fact that there's only a $500,000 in drone expenditures appropriations, I mean, that's absolutely insane, and I hope that it's something that my colleagues work on. But as many have already pointed out, drones continue to rapidly advance and become more readily available. Along with the expansion, threats from drones being used by bad actors have only increased, as all of you have mentioned. Right now, counter-UAS authorities are restricted from local law enforcement agencies, leaving it largely in the hands of federal agencies. So, Mr. Wigman or Mr. Wheeler, very simple questions. Do federal agencies have the ability to assist local law enforcement agencies with their counter-UAS capabilities everywhere and every time it's needed?
Not today. That's what we're seeking from the Congress.
Yep.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Are there events and places that would benefit from counter-UAS capabilities that federal agencies are simply not able to cover?
Absolutely. There are.
Yes.
All right. In your submitted statement, you both said, quote, we need to empower state, local, tribal, and territorial law enforcement agencies across the country, which are primarily responsible for keeping our citizens safe at the local level, to take the steps needed to protect their communities from the emergency threat. This past year, right in my district, in the middle of my district in Nassau County, we hosted the 2024 International Cricket World Cup, including the India-Pakistan match. While there were drone-related threats from ISIS ahead of the tournament, the federal government was only able to assist with their counter-UAS capabilities for a small portion of the tournament. What is the current impact of local law enforcement not having these authorities? And I'll leave that to any of you.
Well, I think that's the main thing, is the capacity. We need more capacity to be able to do the mission, and we strongly support state and local jurisdictions having that capacity and the authority and the ability to help.
Right. And I think I'm sorry, Mr. Woodman, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's right. And just to answer your question also, Mr. Congressman Gonzalez as well, I mean, I think all of us on the panel share your view that we need to do more and more resources. If we do get the authorities, we will certainly need more resources. Right. Even if state and locals are doing it, that will require training and additional work and approval on our end. So more resources, more authorities, those are all things that we would support.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point down and to spread the message, because I think there's a lot of false information being spread about law enforcement agencies trying to say that, well, they don't want this added enforcement. They don't want to take on this responsibility. I mean, we had a hearing in this room just hours ago where the commissioner of the Nassau County Police Department, Patrick Ryder, was here, and he has been advocating in his position as commissioner, as his position as a member of the Major City Chiefs, that this is something that local law enforcement agencies, not only do they need it, they want it. And I think that we have the opportunity throughout this country to make sure that law enforcement agencies, there is some sort of consolidation. There are many law enforcement agencies that border one another that could help each other deal with this, I'll call it a burden, but this added burden. But they're willing to do it. Why? Because it makes sure that people can be kept safe. We can make sure that in instances like the World Cup back in my district, or as Mr. Jimenez was talking about the summer games in Miami, I mean, to depend on the federal government, and the federal government is telling us, well, we can only help you some of the time, even when you have threats from ISIS, I mean, that's a huge problem. And it's one that we need to address not only here today, but moving forward. And Mr. Chairman, my time has expired, but thank you for continuing to bring this to light.
Gentleman's time has expired. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Crane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing today. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming today. I got an article right here, mystery drone spotted over New York, New Jersey, prompt calls for federal investigation. I believe this was Breitbart News. I want to start with you, Mr. Wheeler from the FBI. What can you tell us about what you guys do know?
So the public reports and what we have from eyewitness sightings, some of those very credible police personnel and others are what we describe as unidentified drones. We do not know the particular specifics of what those drones are. Some are described as being slightly larger than a commercial available drone, fixed wing as well as rotary. We have helped analyze with our partners video and pictures of what those look like, what have been submitted. Part of that is these over 3,000 tips from the public, and to look at that. But as I previously stated, we don't know the people responsible behind that, and that's what we're working on.
Yeah. What did you say you guys were, the FBI was spending on counter drone?
My budget that would specifically include the technology that we use.
Was it 500,000?
It's 500,000.
What? That doesn't seem nearly adequate. Why do you feel like there isn't a push within the FBI to keep up with modern warfare and modern threats?
So we're
What is the budget for the FBI right now?
roughly $11 billion.
Okay, why do you think as warfare changes, and as you know, sir, warfare is changing drastically right now overseas, especially with Ukraine and Russia and the development of drone technology, why isn't the FBI taking this threat more seriously? And that's obviously reflected by the budget that you guys have assigned to counter drone technology.
I have a limited capability that is embedded within our emerging threats unit for surveillance issues. That allocation of resources, that research, that operational deployment of our capability is what we have today. I would imagine that this would grow over time.
What do you think that some of these terrorist cells that might be in the country right now, or maybe even outside of our borders, what do you think that they're looking at when they see a hearing like this and they see that you guys still, after almost a month, don't know who these drones are? What do you think that they're thinking?
So I would be measured in how we speak about our capability and what our limitations and capacity is. However, I'll say to you that it's not as good as I wish it was, and we'll continue to work to make it better.
Yeah, well, when you're only spending $500,000 a year, it's probably not going to be very good, is it?
The only thing I would say about that is that this is an enterprise-wide problem. It's not just a technological problem. That most of that $11 billion budget for the FBI gets after threats to Americans, this being one of them. And the way we apply resources, personnel, operational, all of that to include technology to get after a threat that would threaten American lives, I don't think that $500,000 for the technology part of it adequately captures our commitment to protecting Americans.
I want to shift real quick because you guys have been talking about using electronic warfare to counter some of these drones. What about drones that aren't susceptible to counter warfare, like your fiber optic drones? What are you guys doing about those? I'll start with you, Mr. Jones.
So all options are on the table right now. We are exploring kinetic options.
You know,
Complement the electronic.
you can buy those right now, and they're really not that expensive. Are you aware of that, Mr. Jones?
I'm aware there's a lot of different technologies out there. We have experimented with some that have been very successful.
Yeah. Thank you. I yield back.
Gentleman yields. The gentlelady from New York, Ms. Maliatakis, is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Pfluger. Thank you all for being here today. I just want to follow up on what my colleague asked regarding what happened in New York and New Jersey. These drones, unmanned aircrafts have also flown over my district. A number of constituents have seen them over a power plant in Brooklyn. They were coming over the Verrazano Bridge. And I will remind everyone or explain to everyone here that Verrazano Bridge connects Staten Island and Brooklyn, and on the Staten Island side, you have Fort Wadsworth, which is a U.S. Coast Guard sector New York base. And then in the Brooklyn side, right on the other side of the Verrazano Bridge, you have Fort Hamilton, which is a U.S. Army installation. And so it is very concerning to me that we have these objects. We're not sure if they're drones or unmanned aircrafts, but they are flying over sensitive infrastructure and facilities. And the fact that we don't know what they are or who's behind them or what they're doing is very concerning to me, particularly in a post-Chinese spy balloon world. Okay, the fact that this administration allowed for a Chinese spy balloon to go across the country over multiple military installations is very concerning, and that we could potentially be having this happen again it's like astounding to me that this is even happening without any type of intervention. You say it's no known threat, but is there still a possibility of there being a threat? At the end of the day, that's what my constituents want to know.
Yes, I am cognizant, and we all are in the FBI, of what this threat can look like. Anyway, across the spectrum of sophisticated state actors, adversaries that want to hurt us, all the way through counterterrorism matters, cyber, WMD, criminal, all the way down to a nuisance drone that could cause harm. So that's the wide spectrum that concerns me every day.
And okay.
I would just mention it concerns me that we don't know the answer to your question yet.
And are you working with the Pentagon, with FAA, with DHS, with your partners to try to identify this? Because I don't put it all on just the FBI. I think this is, I mean, what is Homeland Security doing? Do you have any idea? Have you?
I wouldn't speak for another department, but I will say that the way we do business is extremely collaborative in the interagency, and especially with our state and local partners.
So who's taking the lead here on this particular issue to identify these drones and aircrafts?
Well, we have an investigation open predicated on a idea that there's unsafe operation in the airspace, which is a federal violation that we have some jurisdiction for. But it would help us know sort of what lane this falls in when we know the people that are responsible and what this is all about, to your point earlier. And we're actively investigating and would like to answer those questions, but I don't have a better answer.
And what if they were carrying chemical weapons or something? We just don't, I mean, this could be a much worse conversation we could be having right now, because these things have been flying all over New York, New Jersey, over military installations. I don't know, I don't know what's going on there, but these agencies need to figure it out and try to get to the bottom of what's going on. I think it's very concerning. Is there a possibility, if hopefully it is not a threat, is it a possibility it would fall under this System Assessment and Validation of Emergency Responders program, the SAVER program? This is a program under Department of Homeland Security, Science and Technology, where they are testing various technology for search and rescue, disaster response, and it could be part of a law enforcement assessment. You think that's a possibility? Because my Army base doesn't know about it, my NYPD doesn't know about it, so I guess my question is, why wouldn't the local authorities know if this was part of a testing of security technologies for first responders?
So I don't know that to be the case, and I couldn't really comment on that.
Okay, well, just again, I would love to speak to you offline at some point and maybe share some information with you, but I would really just urge if you could speak to your colleagues and counterparts in these other departments, and because we need to get to the bottom of what's going on here. And if it is something that is not nefarious and is part of these public safety applications that are being tested, they need to coordinate with the local authorities. So my guys in New York NYPD, they know that it's not a threat.
I would agree.
All right, thank you.
Gentlelady yields. This will be the last questioning for the first panel. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Smith.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Chairman, Chairman, both of you, for allowing me to sit in on this hearing. I've been in Congress 44 years, and I have lost track of the number of times when we seemingly did not adequately assess a threat. I had one of my service members from the Marines in the barracks in Lebanon when that terrible, horrible deed was committed by Iran. I actually, after we got hit in Dar es Salaam and in Nairobi in 1998 by Al-Qaeda, I chaired all the hearings. We had the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff come and testify as Admiral Crow. And they kept saying, everyone, no one thought that Al-Qaeda would hit there. Maybe in the Middle East, but not there. I wrote a bill called the Embassy Security Act. It was signed into law. I added it to an appropriations bill, big, thick bill, but it was all about setbacks and Mylar on the windows, a lot of good things. And it did mitigate, I think, some of the concerns there. But we always seem to miss something, and I'm very concerned that we're missing something here. I've raised the issue, as has my colleagues, Maliotakis and others in New Jersey and New York, about these drone sightings. So last night, I was on the beach in Island State Park in Ocean County with the sheriff. He has been working it every single night. He's got his own tethered drones chronicling. One of his officers 2 nights ago saw 50 drones come in off the ocean right there. So we thought maybe they'll replicate it. They didn't, but we thought it was a possibility. Last night, we had a number of other people there, including a commanding officer from the Coast Guard, who said that one of their 47-foot motor lifeboats was followed by between 12 and 30 of these drones as they went through the water, followed right behind them. And I said, what's the rules of engagement? I mean, you do it if you're fighting against a narco trafficker or something. And they said, we don't know, we don't have any. So I did reach out to the commanding officer at the Joint Base, which is also in my district, and talked to him, had a very good conversation, Colonel Anthony Smith, Joint Base Fort Dix McGuire, the 87th Air Wing, Air Base Wing today. And I said, I know you have the capability, you've put out press releases, to identify and bring down drones. Why can't you deploy them, at least to the ocean? Bring one of these down, find out who's doing it. They have the capability. They said, well, we don't have the authority, only within the parameters of our base. Well, there's a national interest here. Our jets fly over the ocean all the time for training, so that perimeter is larger. So I did write Secretary Lloyd Austin asking that capability that may be sitting in a closet somewhere, I know they use it all the time, but bring it out. And I'm not saying you got to share it with the sheriffs. It'd be nice. Just do it yourself in the interest of the American public. So I would ask if you would echo that request. I mean, DOD's got the capability, and maybe Homeland Security does as well. When we had a Zoom meeting with Secretary Mayorkas, our governor put it together, and I appreciated that. But I asked them, why can't we just track where they go to? Seemingly, they're going out to sea, to something, a ship. We don't know for sure, but they come in off from the ocean. So the question really is, can't we just get DOD to share? In my first term, DOD and VA did a great thing, the DOD-VA sharing agreement for healthcare capabilities. It was fantastic. Why can't the DOD share this with Homeland Security, with FBI and others, so that you can go out and find out who they are? Maybe it's China. I chair the China Commission, and I've had 115 hearings on it. I'm barred from going there now. China is, and I'm on their hit list. Xi Jinping is a monster. Look what Putin's doing. They're all capable of doing horrible things to our people, and now they're threatening my good friend and colleague from New York, and of course, New Jersey, big time. So let's go get that DOD capability and find out and put to rest the question, who is it? We can bring one down tomorrow. Your thoughts?
Sir, I'd just say I share your concern. I share a lot of frustration, and I'm more than willing to continue working with the Department of Defense to try to get better.
Again, if they don't have the authority, they can do it on an emergency basis. Just send that capability out to the ocean, or to the beach, because they're coming in every day. Figure out which one it is and bring them down. and then retrieve it and find out what's going on. And as my good friend Malliotakis, Congresswoman Malliotakis said, the thing with the balloon was mind-boggling. Over our bases, and we didn't see that was a threat. Well, this, I think, is a very serious threat. And so please, if you could, get DOD to share that capability. Maybe Homeland has it. I don't know. Maybe you have it somewhere. But I know DOD has it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Gentlemen's time has expired. I thank the witnesses for your valuable testimony, for being here today, and for the members and the questions. We will now dismiss this first panel, take a brief 2 to 3 minute recess while we arrange for the second panel of witnesses. The committee will come to order. I'm pleased to have the second distinguished panel of witnesses before us today on this very important topic, and I ask that our witnesses please rise and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give before the Committee on Homeland Security of the United States House of Representatives will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may be seated. Let the record reflect that the witnesses have answered in the affirmative. I'd now like to formally introduce our second panel. Mr. Jeffrey Baumgartner serves as the Vice President for National Security and Resilience at Berkshire Hathaway Energy, and Dr. Paul Schwitisen serves as the Co-Director of the Global Strategy Decisions Group, also my classmate from the United States Air Force Academy, class of 2000. Thank you for being here, and we will now recognize Mr. Baumgartner for your opening statement of 5 minutes.
Chairman, ranking members, and members of the subcommittees, thank you for inviting me to testify. My name is Jeffrey Baumgartner, and I serve as the Vice President of National Security and Resilience Policy at Berkshire Hathaway Energy. Today, I want to discuss how unmanned aerial systems threaten critical infrastructure. Berkshire Hathaway Energy businesses provide reliable, secure, low-cost energy to more than 13 million customers in the U.S., Great Britain, and Canada. Our commitment to our customers requires us to secure our infrastructure from all threats, including those posed by unmanned aerial systems. Critical infrastructure is the backbone of our economy and security, yet energy sector infrastructure and the transportation, communications, and water sector infrastructure we rely on face increasing threats from UAS, and the stakes for ensuring resilience and security could not be higher. In recent years, UAS technology has become more accessible, affordable, and advanced. While these innovations offer immense potential, like enabling faster damage assessments of energy infrastructure, they also empower malicious actors. Adversaries can use UAS to surveil facilities, deliver hazardous payloads, disrupt operations, and even conduct cyber intrusions. The Department of Homeland Security's 2025 Homeland Threat Assessments highlights UAS as a persistent and growing risk to critical infrastructure. This warning isn't hypothetical. Last month, federal agents arrested an individual planning to use a UAS to attack an electric substation. I hope we can proactively address the UAS threat before a significant incident occurs. Despite the pervasiveness of the threat, existing federal laws and regulations have not kept pace with the rapid proliferation of UAS technology. Current frameworks primarily address safety and airspace management, but lack robust provisions to counter malicious UAS activities. This leaves critical infrastructure companies vulnerable to increasingly sophisticated threats. To address these risks, we must modernize our defenses while balancing security measures with civil liberties. A comprehensive strategy that incorporates technology innovation, appropriate legal frameworks, and public-private collaboration is essential. I hope we can prioritize the following actions. Number one, grant critical infrastructure companies limited authority to deploy advanced detection and counter-UAS technologies. Investments in cutting-edge counter-UAS systems will ensure we can address current and emerging threats effectively. Two, identify formal mechanisms for sharing actionable information about UAS threats and enable law enforcement at all levels with the tools and legal authorities to address UAS threats effectively. The third is advanced research and development. Collaborative R&D will improve the ability to neutralize UAS threats without collateral damage. The fourth and final, develop a comprehensive strategy to align regulatory, technological, and operational efforts at federal, state, and local levels, while addressing privacy concerns and establishing clear legal parameters for UAS operations. The private sector owns most of the critical infrastructure that provides key services, but protecting these assets is a collaborative effort. The National Security Memorandum on Critical Infrastructure Security and Resilience rightly emphasizes this partnership. However, existing counter-UAS authorities for DHS and the Department of Justice are set to expire soon. Failing to renew and expand current authorities risks leaving critical infrastructure defenseless against the evolving UAS threat. The window of opportunity to address these challenges is closing. By modernizing our defenses, updating our legal frameworks, and fostering collaboration, we can safeguard critical infrastructure, protect public safety, and maintain our leadership in security and innovation. We are ready to work alongside this committee, a coalition of critical infrastructure companies, and relevant stakeholders to effectively protect our critical services against the evolving UAS threat. Thank you for holding this hearing, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Baumgartner. The chair now recognizes Dr. Paul Schwinnesen for his opening statement.
Thank you. Chairman Pfluger and Jimenez,